Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Welcome to the Pancake Tuesday edition here of the Go Radio Football Show with Burger King. Figure out that one. I'm in the company, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube, of Darren Adi and Mark Guidi. You know the number 0808 17 17 700. We'll still be looking back at the weekend and looking forward to the midweek game. Celtic in Europe. Rangers have a few days off before the weekend. What a weekend it was for Rangers then, going second top of the table. They were third for a few moments after Celtic's win. How long can Celtic go on scoring in the late show? But they do it under Martin O'Neill. What's your feeling now that the dust has settled? Some of the headlines tonight: Julian Rojo isn't ruling out coming full time to Celtic if he's wanted. Would you want him, Celtic fans? I can't imagine you'd say no. He's on loan from Bournemouth. What a finish to that game. And Darren, we saw you on Sky Sports with some others, including the Scotland manager. Stevie Clarke was there, and then it switched to Ibrox. Well, you were there. Did you get in and out okay? No problem?
I had a hood up and a bit of security around me, but thankfully I don't think anyone's expecting to see me there, so I waited for the game to start and then made my way out the back door. It
was some atmosphere for the Rangers fans as well. Mark, the roar was back big time for Rangers as well to get that 4-2 win. That was the biggest scoreline probably of the weekend, because it was match of the day, and it was Rangers who won it.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was a great double header on Sunday afternoon for Sky Sports. You know, great drama at Rugby Park. Credit to Kilmarnock, thoroughly deserved their half-time lead, and then Celtic with yet another late show to take the points. And then you've got Hearts leading twice and Rangers showing great character to come back and win the game. So Paul, still very much all to play for, and really, really exciting.
Who's got the bottle for the battle? What do we think? Hearts still in pole position, mind you. Darren, you said don't rule out Celtic, and nobody could at the moment anyway, because of the track record that Celtic have. But if they win the game in hand, they go joint top of the table.
Yeah, this was before the window. I thought they needed to recruit well in the window. At the moment, we're still getting a feeling of what those signings really look like. So you're just expecting Celtic to have an upturn in performances, because their performance level has been pretty low, let's be honest. But the reality is they are winning games. So my kind of thinking is, well, if they can boost performance, they're already winning. I just think I could visualise Celtic winning the most amount of games in a row, where I feel Hearts certainly I feel won't be able to go on that type of run. I still think they'll be competitive, but won't be that type of run. Rangers might, because I think Rangers have recruited really well in the January window as well. So, but Celtic will still be my slight favourites.
Mark, you know exactly how it looks at the top of the table. Yeah. Hearts on 57, Rangers on 55, Celtic one game fewer, 54. What are you working out? You're always good with the stats.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I've said probably since about week 3, week 4 of this season that 84 points will win you the title. Normally you need 90. Dan will know, Dan's won titles. Normally you need 90. But you know what? I have to be 82. Wow. 82 might win you the title this year.
The swingometer has moved, everybody. 82.
Okay. 82 might win. Anyway, look at that, Paul. We said many times during the January window, it could be who comes out strongest of the 3 clubs of the number 9s. And it was on here, was it Thursday night? And I said, Danny Rule needs to drop Chamiti. he needs to go. You know, he's not a number 9 that's going to win you the title. It'll be Danny Rule's downfall if he sticks with Chamiti. Well, he stuck with him, and credit to him for that. He got a hat-trick. I loved his second goal. I loved the header, the way he attacked the ball from Scovolson's cross. It was a fantastic number 9.
It was immense, wasn't it? He looked so confident.
It really was. So credit to him, and going with 2 up top, not as an out-and-out twin, but still going with 2 strikers.
They found something there with Nadiri.
Yeah, Nadiri certainly, you can tell he's raw, but he's full of enthusiasm. He's full of desire. He's got an eye for goal. Chavanchara didn't start on Sunday, but plays his part at the winning goal. And Ajuro, if that's how you pronounce his name properly, the Celtic fullback, the right back. The drama of the late goal, 97 minutes, get into the crowd, winning 3 points. I get that. But just strip all that away. The quality of the finish was absolutely outstanding. At that pressure, at that moment in the game, with his left foot, with a defender coming to close him down, the goalkeeper getting across his goal. There's really only one place he could put it, and he had to get it spot on, otherwise it was going over the bar. It was an outstanding finish to win a game of football. So Chavan Chara is looking the part. Junior came off at half time, and then we moved to Hearts. Paul, they are really missing Lon Shankland.
Yeah.
So if you look at the tail of the number 9s at the 3 clubs, right now I have to say, even though they're still top, Hearts are the weakest. They are suffering the most in terms of the number 9 position. And Lon Shankland ain't back anytime soon. So I think, as much as I've championed Hearts, and they still deserve a lot of credit for being there, I think that the loss of Shankland is going to be their downfall in terms of them not becoming champions.
Darren, what do you make of that analysis? First of all, what about Hearts?
Yeah, I totally agree, and I actually think they're missing Devlin as well. On top of that,
He's back soon, I think.
I think he's back soon. Certainly back before Shankland, but they've been missing him as well. You can't. I know Hearts have recruited really well, but they don't have the depth of Rangers and Celtic. And to lose your captain, talisman, goal scorer, it's going to affect any team. So I do think Hearts, though, have enough about them to stay in the fight for as long as possible. It is possible they've somehow managed to see out the next number of weeks before Shankland's fifth. But yeah, I definitely agree with Mark. Out of the 3, the one that looks that they're going to struggle the most at the minute is Hearts.
And of course, Motherwell, they're not far away. 47 points after the 26 games. So they've got a game in hand. If they go on the 50, that's only 4 points behind Celtic, 5 behind Rangers. If only they didn't have all those draws much earlier in the season. Let's go our first caller, 0808 17 17 700. It's Hugh, the Motherwell fan. Hi Hugh, good evening, welcome.
Good evening, gents. How are we this evening?
I think
good
top
Hugh.
notch, yeah, good form. Darren as well. Yeah, he's loving it there, Sky, the other day. I had breakfast with the Scotland manager this morning. I see you were with him the other day. He doesn't realise I just happened to be in the same hotel. I thought, there he is. Darren said, did you speak to him? I said, no. But he didn't give the guy a break at breakfast time. But he was in good form. The Scotland manager will talk more because Hugh loves his Scotland. He'll be there at the World Cup. But Hugh, what about the Well? Everyone's talking about you.
Yeah, well, why can they not talk about us, Paul? I've got a quick point before I make my main one.
Yep.
One of my points was with Stephen O'Donnell going to the World Cup instead of Anthony Ralston. So that's a wee curveball to throw in there. Why not? He's playing outstanding. He's playing every week. Ralston isn't. So just a wee curveball. Okay. My main point, gents, is about obviously the run-in and how everybody talks about there's only 3 teams in the league. Only 3 teams in to win the league, which I could probably get that. I do not think Motherwell will win the league. But what I will say is we will have a major say in who wins that league. And I'd imagine what my thoughts is, it will come down to the penultimate game or the last game of the season, who wins that league. That's how close I think it's going to be. Because the teams at the top will take... If Rangers and Celtic and Hearts win that game when Rangers Celtic play, somebody's going to win the game or draw the game, so they're losing 2 points or 3 points. Yeah. So that's a major thing. Just to see what you think about Motherwell having a major say who's winning this league.
Okay, who wants to go first? What about Stephen O'Donnell? I mean, he has been absolutely brilliant. In fact, the guys were talking about him the other night on this show, his performance against Rangers and other games as well.
Yeah, I mean, watched him against Rangers on the telly and he's pinging 40-yard diagonals. You see Paul McGinn and there beside him as well. Look, one thing about Stephen O'Donnell, Steve Clarke had him at Kilmarnock, and Stephen O'Donnell played very, very well for Steve Clarke's been involved in Euro finals. I think it was Scotland's man of the match at Wembley.
I was at the match.
Euro 22, yes, with private helicopter, just as usual, flying down. But he was outstanding that night. I get Hugh's point in terms of Tony Ralston. For me, there's other better right backs out there than all of them. But one thing with Steve Clarke, he always says he's loyal. There's a core of 14 or 15 players that are absolutely going to the World Cup as long as they're fit, and Tony Ralston might be one of them. But you've got other guys that could come into you've got Max Johnson, you've got Aaron Hickey that can go right back and left back. So that there's a few. Hugh, look, it wouldn't bother me if Stephen O'Donnell get into the squad, and I know where you're coming from, and you look at Motherwell's defensive record this season. It is absolutely incredible They've only conceded 18 goals in 26 league games. The best defence in the league by a distance. So if Steve Clarke decided to go back to Stephen O'Donnell, you wouldn't hear many people complaining.
Darren O'Dea, what would you say?
Yeah, I think something that goes under the radar a little bit is how to make up a squad for a tournament. I was part of one in Euro 2012, and I think we were away for 50 days, 50 days in total. So I think with players that are on the kind of fringe of the team, if you like, as much as their ability comes into it quite clearly because they might need to contribute, it sometimes comes down to the character of the player and how they are around camp. Because trust me, you cannot go if you don't have a good group of people that actually sync together. You hear a lot of footballers who say you don't need to like each other. You kind of do in international football because you are literally on top of each other for such a long time in tournaments. So likewise, but in saying that, Stephen O'Donnell I think will be a character that will add loads. Ranty Ralston the same. I'm probably on Mark's side of saying, is there someone better
who are in there? And what about Motherwell? I think people are saying, Hugh, that you're going to play a big part in where the title goes, but they're not that far away from the actually being, a 4-horse race rather than 3.
Yeah, no, absolutely they're not. I don't think they will get into the actual points range where they're able to kind of really make a push for it. But that's the fact that we're even talking about this tells you how well Motherwell have done. And it's not. The best thing about Motherwell is it looks sustainable. It's not. It doesn't look like this is a freak. They're just on a purple patch and they're riding the wave. This is done by a brilliant coach that's got the very, very best out of his players, improved them, developed them, and as a team, as I said, I just think they can keep winning. There's no reason this stops anytime soon. Mark?
Yeah, it's brilliant. You think, Hugh, that $4.5 million for Lennon Miller 8-9 months ago, probably everybody at Motherwell thought that would be a sort of ceiling in terms of a transfer value, and understandably so. They had an incredible young talent, and they're cashed in them very well. Motherwell as a football club played that transfer situation very well. But look now, and forgive me because I don't know how long they've got to go in their contracts, but Fadinger, Watt, speak to guys who scout different games every week, and they say that they two are as good as it is. And I know that Mazwanise and all that got all the headlines, but Fadinger, Elliot Watt, you've got Said said, you've got Just, you're going to have big problems hanging on to the 5 of them, as well as the manager, obviously Jens Askew. And it wouldn't surprise me if he goes, he'll try and take a couple of those boys with him. But my point could be, you might be market value, Dan will know better than me, but all those guys, you could be looking at anything for 11 to 15 million for all those guys.
So that transforms the club.
And absolutely.
Self-sustaining.
You don't want to sell the 5 of them,
sure.
but there may well come the point the boys can go and treble, quadruple their wages, Motherwell cash in, etc. So this could also be a golden season for Motherwell, still in the Scottish Cup, right up at the top of the table. I'm kind of saying, you enjoy it, enjoy these last 10-12 weeks,
Loving it. Absolutely loving it. Yeah. I totally agree with you on, and Paul will back me up on this. I came on this show after the Rangers game, the first game of the season, and I says, what will be the player of the year? I've cried his name out since the first couple of games I've seen, and Fadinger has just been what a find. And this is a year today when Wimmer came into the club.
Oh, was it?
So
wow.
Yeah, a year today, Wimmer came into the club, and obviously he was the one that brought Fadinger in. So he done that as well. And bear in mind, these guys have came to the second division of Austria, then the Danish league. So this is what the level. And Mark, I think you're 100% right. See, we've got an opportunity. We have to cash in, and hopefully we'll go and find them again. And I fully understand. I'm 56 years old. I followed Mull since 1982. I understand we're going to have ups and downs, and we have to let players and managers move on. Nobody goes away from the club from me with anything but best wishes to them. Go and thank you very much for your service. You have done everything. As soon as you pull on the strip, I don't care what you do. Just give me 100%, the club 100%. if you're good enough, you're going to go on and you go with my best wishes. And that's all we look at.
So you're up at Pittodrie tomorrow night in the Cup, and I think you go in as favourites. Does that change it at all for you, the psyche? Because, I mean, clubs, Rangers, we're talking about, I mean, they changed the system a bit because of Motherwell, whereas it used to be the other way round. You don't often find the big two having to change for a Motherwell, no disrespect. What are you thinking for the match tomorrow night at Pittodrie?
I think it'll be a bit tougher than what we had at the weekend. Yeah. But I still think we've got more than enough in our locker to go and beat Aberdeen, because Aberdeen are still hurting. They're still going through a major transition just now. And I know Tony Dockery's come in there and maybe trying to stamp a wee bit of his ideas. So they're still going through a major transition, and we've got to go there, play how we play, enjoy it, and go and win the game and get through to the next round. Because when you think of getting through to the next round and you're playing the Fairland, there's not bigger chance you're going to get back to Hampden to get into a final. So this is what we've got to look at. Take that opportunity and go. So I'm always positive. You know what I'm like, Paul. I'm always positive. I'm always praising the team. And if we get beat, that's part of the game of football. You're not going to win every single game. You're not going to. And as Mark says, we have conceded the least goals of 18. Now, bear in mind, 3 of them was against Hearts and 2 of them was against Celtic. So when you go look at the games, we don't concede. And that's the major thing.
You've got to fancy yourselves as well, Hugh. I would imagine you look at the Scottish Cup just now, the finals on May 23rd, last game of the season at Hampden. Hearts are already out. Celtic and Rangers play each other in the next round. Hibs are already out. Falkirk probably going to face Dundee United. You've got to fancy your chances of actually winning the tournament. When you look at, if you can get through Pittodrie, and I think that would you go to Dunfermline, which won't be easy, obviously, against Neil Lennon's team. But if you win tomorrow night, you've got to fancy your chances of lifting the Scottish Cup.
100%. I think the belief's there for the players, because the players are getting in now. Even the supporters are getting with confidence for the game. Now, we went 1-0 down against Rangers. We never changed our style. We never panicked. We went down to 10 men. We never panicked. We continued to play the way we played. And I think if you go and look at the stats, we had like 63% possession in that game. And we're down to 10 men. Come on. So
that's the biggest compliment they can give you, is actually you went down to 10 men and Rangers adjusted for you. That tells you the respect you're getting from other teams' coaches.
And Barry Ferguson, who was there, Barry said last night on the show, Motherwell were so calm. They said to each other, hey, right, okay, calm. And they didn't have that kind of, we've blown the chance to win this game. So, Paul McGinn is being mentioned. He has said that Stephen Welsh should be considered for Scotland. That's one of the headlines today in the Scottish Sun. Could you see that happen? Stephen Welsh, of course, so dramatic, his goal last week. But could you really see Stephen breaking into the Scotland squad in time for the World Cup?
I don't see him breaking into the actual team.
Squad?
I wouldn't. Mark would know a lot better. The squad depth of centre backs. It's been an area for Scotland that's not that strong. I don't think he will be at the forefront of Steve Clarke's mind. But listen, when you're playing week in, week out, performing really well, Steve Clarke has shown he'll pick players that are playing in the Scottish League. So he's a player in form. It's an area where Scotland aren't that strong in, but it's probably just a little too late for him to get his way into the World Cup squad. But beyond that, if he keeps his form up, he'll potentially move on from Motherwell. That's the next thing. It would probably be his next move that would hopefully see him get a bit of recognition.
Hugh's in great form. Don't waste his Tuesday evening. Darren, come on. Mark, what are you thinking?
Stephen, I think Darren's right. I don't think we're blessed with outstanding central defenders. But I spoke a few minutes ago about Steve Clarke's loyalty, and probably he's very, very loyal to his central defenders. John Souttar, Jack Hendry, Grant Hanley, Scott McKenna. So you can rhyme off boys that are probably all going to be a part of that. You can move. Sometimes you'll maybe move Kieran Tierney in one, or if he goes to a back three. Forgive me if I'm missing anybody. But I think when the night that we qualified against Denmark, he was asked about Kieran Tierney's goal, and he said, he's one of my boys. And if you remember, it was a brilliant interview trackside after it. And he said, I think he said, I've got 12 or 14 boys that he's loyal to, and not just about how they can play football and what they contribute on the park, which is also very important, but as Dan highlighted, he knows there's that group of boys that won't cause him a minute's problem.
Yeah.
They will run the training camp, they will run the hotel, they'll make sure that anybody coming that's trying to spit the dummy out if they're not starting a game, they will be put in their place. Nobody will step out of line. So he's got a loyalty to those 12 or 14 Kenny McLeans and boys like that. You know, listen, he's not going to start every game, but he will not moan, and if I need him, he'll be there for me. So I reckon, Paul, there's only the goalkeeping stuff will be very interesting, what he does the goalkeeper wise. But outfield, barring any, you know, unforeseen injuries, I think there's only 2, possibly 3 places up for grabs.
Hugh, I know you're going to America. Darren's talking about the days with Ireland where he was 50 days away in a tournament. Was that in the Euro? 50 days. You know, I've been lucky enough to be covering the World Cups, and honestly, see the Scotland players, you could tell.
The postcards.
I used to say all that, but actually the players, of course, they wanted to win, but it was difficult. They were, you know, Scots guys that wanted to be back home or head off in the summer holidays. I mean, of course they wanted to win. We came so close so many times, but I hope you're ready for 50 days then. In the United States.
Was that Trapattoni?
Trapattoni.
How were they in terms of downtime? Was it really strict?
Trapattoni would not allow us as much as a coffee.
No.
So you were in your room, you were not allowed to leave the hotel, the grounds. He brought us to Italy for a week, not allowed to leave, didn't see a thing there. And then we were over to Gdansk in Poland, and again 2 weeks before, not a sight of anything. So you weren't allowed to leave the grounds. He was absolute, this is why we're here, football and only football.
Wow, didn't even
trained
get to
every day, by the way. So there wasn't one day off. So I think the players, naturally, we got a little bit itchy, I would say.
And that, I'm sure. Hugh, World Cup's not that far away. It's going to be some year, isn't it?
Yeah, massive. It's going to be absolute massive for us. And again, let's go and enjoy it.
Okay.
Let's experience it, and let's build on it and get to the next one, get to the next Euros, everything. Let's go for it. And come on, Scotland.
Yep, scoreline tomorrow night then. Pataudry.
I still think we'll keep a clean sheet, and whether it'll be 1 or 2, probably a tighter game. But I'll take a 1-0 off somebody's backside if that's how it's going to be, get you through. Because as Mark says, this is a massive for us, a massive opportunity, especially get to the final, and especially going and win it since 1991. So yeah, really looking forward to it again.
Great.
Seeing
And
the
it was
best footballing team in Scotland play.
Thank you, Hugh. Some crowd they had at the weekend as well. The Smiths were all there. They were speaking, the boys there with their dad, Joseph, and they said it was absolutely mobbed. It's great. And you make a great point, Mark, about the sustainable thing for Motherwell, because they don't have, you know, a sugar daddy, sugar mummy there with all the money. It's the club that need to be self-sustainable, and they are. More calls from you after this.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Scotland's top writer is with us, Mark Guidi, here in the studio, and Darren Adee, the former Celtic and many other clubs in Ireland international player, is with us. Many clubs. And most recently at Swansea.
Soccer nomad. Soccer nomad.
Yeah. He's done all right, hasn't he? Yeah.
I'll take that.
But you're enjoying life just now. You know, I know obviously it finished too soon at Swansea. But how's like? Because it's quite an adjustment it must be from 24/7 concentrating your team to.
Yeah. It was something I was very clear on, that this is the industry you're in. Albeit it did happen sooner than what I wanted. You nearly kind of built yourself up to this is part of it. So listen, it was a brilliant experience. Learned loads, and yeah, it's just now a case of picking the right opportunity next, and whatever that'll be, I'm sure it'll arrive. And I'll know that when it comes.
Mark, football management, it's precarious business. Huge highs if it goes well, big money. You know, many of the clubs, but actually sleepless nights.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a brutal business, Paul. I think it's a horrible profession to be in, because the highs are great, but you need to be pretty special. You need to have a lot of things go for you to sample those highs, and you're just like, as we always say, nowadays, you know, you're 3-4 games away. You know, talk about projects and get in and try to do it. You don't get it. It's a lot of nonsense. You know, you might get one owner out of every 20 at a full-time club that will actually allow you time to go and put things in place and go and put things together, but ultimately it's about results. So yeah, financially the rewards can be great, whether you're Darren, well, you're not thinking about the money. You're thinking about your job.
Sure.
You're thinking about how to survive. You're thinking about how to manage 22, 24, 26 players, their egos, their demands, their mental health, their tantrums, everything that goes into the equation. Keep them busy, put on sessions for them that keep them interested. So I know it can be very rewarding if you get the very top, but it's a horrible, for me, it's a horrible occupation.
Did you see today that Klopp's agent said he was offered Chelsea and Man United since he left Liverpool? I mean, really, could you see Jurgen Klopp, beloved of Liverpool fans, ever going to Man United?
No, not a chance. Not a chance. I'll go as far as saying he will not manage in the Premier League ever again unless it's for Liverpool.
Yeah, to go back, I think his agent's at it. I think his agent's maybe now just try to ignite a wee bit. And so that could also be the starting point of Jurgen's ready to go back in. Real Madrid's available. Liverpool, you're right. You wouldn't rule out him ending up back at Liverpool. But I feel he could. I think he could be. Although I think Unai Emery could bring me a shout at the Real Madrid job as well. But that'll be interesting to see who they go for. And then you've got Spurs appointing Igor Tudor, so they wait for Pochettino for the World Cup.
Say,
who knows? There's a lot of World Cup stuff going on, and our own national manager. What's going to happen with Steve and Clarke too? So there's definitely a few things to come.
See, the SFA are saying that they'll speak to him about an extension to his contract. Of course, especially with Tuchel signing a new deal, an extension in England. People will be saying now, what's going to happen with Steve? I mean, I think in fairness, some people might say, well, it's too soon to decide just now. But I mean, he deserves full respect, which I'm sure he'll get, because it's been phenomenal.
Well,
3 major tournaments.
No, I don't agree with it's too soon. On Thomas Tuchel, I could understand, is it too soon? Because he's been brought in to win the World Cup, and well, we don't know if he's going to or not. But with Steve Clarke, Steve Clarke's been there for how many years has he been? Seven. So it's I don't think whatever happens in this tournament would signify he couldn't do just as well in the next tournament, if you like. He's done fantastically well. So I do think Scotland should be making their mind up. They've got obviously a brilliant manager, someone that's brought them incredible success. So I don't see why they couldn't be in a position to make their mind up.
I think it's a real delicate one, Paul, to handle, because you think previous tours they've announced these extensions before then, so that works wonderfully well. But let's say he doesn't want to stay on, or they think it's time for a change. Personally, I would think it's time for a change.
Do you?
Okay.
Yep.
But how do you handle that? So if you don't announce a contract extension, whether that's on Steve's part or the SFA's part, when do you announce it? So Darren's been there. Do you want to announce before you go?
No.
That's not ideal. So do you want to announce like after you're out? Okay, so where do you go? So I'm going to say, let's say if Steve doesn't want to stay on, or that the successor possibly could be Derek McInnes, right? So a Hearts going to let him go in the middle of July, at the end of July, when you're ready to kick the new season off?
No chance.
So it's a real.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? It's one where I don't think there's an ideal outcome other than, again, doing it in advance. Whereas in the next few weeks they say Steve Clarke signed on to take us into Euro 2028, which is fine. That's personally, I think it'd be an excellent time for him to go and kick on someone else in Scotland to bring.
He deserves a lap of honour, doesn't he?
He does.
Listen, it's been amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to do, because he's got another job in him probably on club football.
He has, and again, it'll be an interesting one. It's probably not a topic for tonight, but in a few weeks' time we'll be talking about Manager of the Year and Player of the Years. Now you could go through Derek McInnes, Danny Rule, Martin O'Neill, Jens Askew, John McGlynn, Steve Clarke. I mean, there's six contenders for
sorry, that's cruel.
For manager. Do you know? So I don't know. It's a deal. It's a difficult one for the SFA and Steve Clarke.
It is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. I definitely don't think you announce it before. And it's a good point you make. Just with if it was within the SPFL, Hearts ain't letting him go late on, so they want to be pre-planned. So it is a difficult situation, but listen,
Quite a
it's
lot
one
of
for them
things.
to deal with.
What a season it is, isn't it? The
Yeah.
managerial. You think, Mark, it was a year ago just now that Barry didn't bother to come in. He just didn't come in. No, he
turned
phoned
up
us
for
and
his
told
work.
us he was going to be manager of Rangers. That's a year ago. And we heard Wimmer had just come into Motherwell. He's come and gone. We don't have enough time to go on about the Celtic comings and goings in this season, and Rangers as well. You know, the year of the bluffers 2025 is what I called it at boardroom level, and some of the directors of football in and out. The money wasted, unbelievable. Spend it on us. Some people here, you know, you think of the fans. That's what I mean, Mark. Do you know what I mean? They're hard-earned money that goes into the clubs, and people sometimes, I don't know if they quite get it and realise what it means to them. But what a year it has been. Who's going to lift the title? Give us a call. 0808 17 17 700. Is it going to be the Herts? Are they going to do it? Is it going to be Rangers under Danny Rule? I mean, phenomenal. What, 13 points behind when he came in? And was that October time?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
And Martin O'Neill, how's the statue going there for Martin? No matter what happens, he deserves. Because, I mean, Celtic need to look at them and say, how did we get into this position? I mean, mismanagement. But Martin O'Neill has bailed Celtic out for the second time this season.
That was his 11th league game in charge over his 2 spells.
How many?
31 points out of 33
Yeah.
in 11 league games. Wilfred Nancy gets 6 out of 18.
And I'm going to say,
sure.
out of 11, I'm going to be right in saying 7 or 8 clean sheets in that as well.
Yeah, early doors, and what, 4 or 5 last minute winners?
Absolutely. It's
Think back to
phenomenal.
Callum
Aye.
McGregor
Yeah.
and Paisley
Aye,
against
aye.
St Mirren,
Yeah.
etc. etc.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the drop points, was that Hearts?
Hearts.
Of course it was the Hearts, yeah. I mean, it really was. You don't like to cane somebody, but when you think about that period and look at it, when people look at what happened in Scottish football that year, what? You had Martin O'Neill in, you had that, the only game you lost was the Michelin game.
Yeah.
You've got Hearts coming to town. You could have gone joint top of the table or thereabouts. Yeah, you were right back in it. Not that you were totally out of it. You then had the cup final to St Mirren. No disrespect to St Mirren, but this is a trophy. I mean, you know every trophy you won.
Oh,
Darren,
absolutely,
most people don't win anything in life. And it was as if, it's just another... I'm sure nobody thought that. But then there was that, and then Wilfred Nancy came in. Wilfred Nancy could have waited. He didn't have to come in at that point. There was no compulsion. They didn't have to bring him in.
The hierarchy have made the most catastrophic decision at the football club for, well, God knows how long. They effectively chose to sack a manager who'd won 7 games out of 8. They'd beaten Rangers in the cup semi-final, gone to final and got them back into the European race, and had 4 clean sheets out of 5 league games and taken 15 points. And they effectively decided to sack him before the league leaders come to Celtic Park, and then they play a cup final. So,
And a manager who wanted to change the system immediately.
yeah, it was just there was a lack of background checking, a lack of due diligence, and a lack of an up-to-date conversation with Wilfred Nancy, as in, okay, if we put you in, are you just going to a wee tinker here and there? So nobody's clearly had that conversation. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to get in and rip it up.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in and rip up all the good work of the past 2 months.
But people,
Unbelievable.
People say this is why the new modern manager has an identity, a style of play. But I was obviously in the club when I seen it. When Ange Postecoglou has probably, it's been well documented how kind of clear an identity he has, and he will not change for love nor money. Brendan Rodgers replaced Ange, and if you watch Brendan Rodgers' first year, he let it be, because it was an oiled machine that was winning, and then it was actually the second season where he put his real stamp on it. So I mean, my point being, Brendan Rodgers, with the ego, the level he's at, he even had enough to say, I'll just back off here, let it run, and I'll manage to get my own identity on it. Where whatever Wilfred Nancy's toys, I'm just putting it in. And that's, I don't know if it's ego, arrogance, or just stupidity, but it was never going to work.
But I mean, that point that Dan makes about Brendan in the 60s, you think when Brendan left to go to Leicester, February 2019, Neil Lennon came in to the end of the season, and then got the job permanently, but came into the end of the season. You look at Neil Lennon's quotes, which says, I'm not going to come in and blow things up here.
That's right.
He said, I'm coming in the back of a very successful manager. I might have a wee tinker here and there, might my idea, but I'll be very much guided by what I saw from Brendan's team and what John Kennedy will advise me to do. That was the way to do it. But again, okay, Wilfred Nancy ultimately is at fault, but who actually had a conversation, an up-to-date conversation with him about what would you plan to do if we put you in this week? What will you do? Out of interest, what will you do? Oh, really? I'll tell you what, why don't you come over, go and get your house sorted, go and get your kill suit, come and see you, get into the chain, get a wee feel for it, and you can start in a couple of weeks. Because they weren't queuing up and down the length of London Road to appoint Wilfred.
Exactly.
No, I'm saying I don't mean that disrespect.
No, sure.
It wasn't like Celtic were, had a gun to their head to put him in that week,
And across the city, Rangers obviously with the 49ers, who had a horror start as well, equally as bad as Celtic. But then they admitted they got it wrong, and over came Andrew Kavanagh, fired the CEO, fired the head of football, and then things began to change. Danny Rowe was in there, he saw what was there and he thought, well, they'd spent 28 million in the summer, knew it wasn't good enough, but he got a tune out of them and he's got some good signings in as well. So it's been a tale of completely... There's a similarity in the story, Darren, and they both because everyone makes mistakes. Every company gets things wrong, but Rangers are beginning to get it right.
Yeah, I agree on that. And I think, again, going back to Wilfred Nancy, not reading the room when he came in, that's the polar opposite to Danny Rowe. He's obviously, he probably would have been told these things regardless if Russell Martin was in before him, but everything that Russell Martin was aimed at him that was a negative, he turned into a positive, even in what he wore, because that seems to be a big thing at Ibrox. Russell Martin didn't, the first thing he does, I'm going to wear what they want. And he found little wins, I think, really early on. Ultimately, which we all say, it comes down to results. And if you look for the first number of months, they were picking up results. I think most average Ranger fan was saying they were playing really poorly, but they were staying in games, weren't conceding goals. That's another thing. Made them defensively, a defence where you thought they need to be absolutely decimated and bring in 4 new defenders. They actually made them solid defensively.
I mean, you look at that point Dan makes, Paul, we're talking about Motherwell having the best defensive record in the league, and credit to them for that. You look at Rangers, despite Rangers being absolutely shocking in many games this season, they have only lost twice in the league. 27 league games. Okay, there's a lot of draws in there, but they've only lost twice, which I'm sure you spoke to any Rangers fan, they'd find that quite incredible, that out of every team in the league, Rangers have the fewest defeats.
So were we wrong about Russell Martin then? No, because I don't like to have a go at those that have gone, i.e. Wilfred Nancy and Russell Martin, but it shows you stick in there in a house united. And Rangers are united at the moment. Yep. Celtic, I would say, are not. But Martin O'Neill is kind of holding it all together. And there's Hearts still in it as well. If we were Radio Edinburgh just now, I wonder what the chat is tonight, about the Hearts. And can they continue? Because they've just got 11 games. They win them, they're going to be the winners.
Paul, if you can get to the international break and then you've got a couple of games to play, then you get into the split, you start to see the finishing line. If Hearts are still in that mix, and generally, I know it's the old cliche, but you see the finish line, you think, genuinely one game at a time, just this 90 minutes, go and win. Or there might be a game or two, so just don't lose, just make sure we don't lose today. And then when we get to the split, Paul, all the possible permutations, including Motherwell, how the SPFL put that top 6 together for the final 5 games of the season.
Hearts have on paper the best run into the split, I think, as well.
Have they? Yeah. Okay.
Best fixtures, I think.
All right, more. It's fascinating, isn't it? We're going to hear from the managers, from Danny Rowe, from Martin O'Neill and Derek McInnes, and maybe you next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, we're the winning station. Tomorrow we'll be talking about Aberdeen against Motherwell. You heard Hugh earlier on, a big Motherwell fan. Joseph's been on as well, saying, what a season. I'm absolutely loving it. I had my 2 boys there on Sunday. Come on, the well. And hands off Bertil Askew. I don't think he's going anywhere this season anyway, is it? I mean, Aberdeen, I know they're talking about someone coming in during the summer or whatever, but he's not going to go anywhere, is he? What do you feel? 08, 08, 17, 17, 700. Mark, Billy's been on, a Rangers fan. It is tongue-in-cheek. And when you said that Chermiti, he's not going to do it, are you going to resign from this programme, given that you got that one wrong?
I'll resign at the end of the season. Because I'll be glad to... I'll work my 1 game notice period and then I'll go, oh, look, I totally got it wrong. When I saw the starting 11 on Sunday that Danny Rowe had picked, I thought, my goodness, what are you doing? Going with Chermiti, but it worked. He scored a hat-trick and it was great. Look, I still get my doubts about him, but you're only as good as your last game and all that. And as I say, I just loved his second goal. I loved the way he attacked that cross. It was a proper number 9 finish. So you look at his contribution on Sunday, his contribution against Celtic at Celtic Park in the Old Firm game, 2 brilliant goals, 2 totally different kind of goals, but both brilliant in their own way. But you need to see that more, Paul. You can't, if you're the Rangers number 9, that was game 27 for them. So you can't wait to game 32 if your next burst of proper play. It needs to start piecing that together on a regular basis. But he was terrific on Sunday.
It's an absolutely massive win for Rangers. Obviously 4-2. Afterwards, the manager spoke about the 2 strikers.
Yeah, I think this is as well. On Wednesday, Ryan couldn't go as a starter. Yeah, I think then Yusuf start. I think this is good to have, especially against this side of opponent, physical, strong in front. We played with 2 10s in behind, very flexible. That was great. I think the 2 6s made the job. Then the opponent changed, building up with a 3. We changed then also to a 4-2-3-1 to set up them. Yeah, and finally, I must say also to be happy. I think the 4-2. I spoke with Gus. It doesn't matter when you come on, but please deliver. And yeah, it is what it is. I think we need everyone. We need everyone in this group, and it was great. I hope as well that Yusuf gets a little bit more credit as well, because now in 2 times in big games he showed that he is a big player, then he can make the difference. But again, it's all about the next. I will not celebrate too much. I will recover. My family is here, and then we go again against Livingston.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a couple of days off this midweek, the Rangers players and the management team, well deserved. I think as well, obviously Chamiti's grabbed the headlines and your attacking players, but I would single out Romans, the left back. Paul, when I spoke to a scout that had looked at him, not somebody that had worked with Rangers, and said, listen, an absolute machine. Right. He is a machine. Obviously he arrived with an injury, but you look at him getting up and down that part, his quality of delivery as well, and he can handle himself on a defensive basis too. So he looks to be a really good signing for Rangers. Makes them really strong down that left hand side.
Darren, impressed with Romans?
Yeah, he's been the one, I think, that has come in and probably I think he's caught everyone's eye. So definitely Mark's obviously given an insight into, he was highly rated before, but certainly I've only started watching him now. He's come into the Scottish game. But yeah, he does look like a very good find for Rangers.
Mentality was something that was levelled at Rangers over a number of years, just not having that ability to keep going. Under Philip Clement, under Michael Beale for a while, they went on long runs and then they hit buffers. The manager spoke at the weekend about the psyche, the mentality of this group.
More important is what we do as a group. I think we developed a lot of resilience since I'm here. We go again and again, even after small setbacks. I try to be the leader of this group, leading by example. I give them a clear picture. Since I'm here, I know at the end we are still on the second position, but since we are here, we are top of the league. We took a lot of points again and again, and it comes from a lot of effort, improvements, development. We stick together. Not more, not less, but we go again.
Darren, he's very considered, isn't he? And obviously, his English is brilliant.
Yeah, but I've known a lot about Daniel Rojo just because he was down at Sheffield Wednesday, and it was obviously a league I'd followed. Probably shouldn't say this, but we're actually represented by the same agent as well. Okay. That might kill him now going forward. But so I kind of always knew of him. He was someone I kind of watched out for, and he did a really good job in a difficult circumstance at Sheffield Wednesday. You've just always got that question mark over you when you leave and come up here. You just know the scrutiny you're coming under. You just don't quite know. But that's what I'm meaning. When he first came in, he just read the room right. He just got early wins. And I don't mean just actual wins in games, but just early wins. He just endeared himself to the Rangers fans the way Russell Martin didn't. And then since then, he's won games and the team is improving, and he's definitely I think, recruited well in January. I think the recruitment they've done, if it brings them to the title this year, that's obviously what they're hoping. I think they'll definitely be in a position come the summer where they really have an opportunity to strengthen again, and they could actually then have a real squad that's ready to compete. Like you're talking a point about mentality.
Yeah.
From my point of view, Rangers haven't been on the same planet as Celtic in terms of quality. So the mentality can only come into it when you do have the same quality. And I think at this very moment they're getting close to that.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, Rangers' mentality, Paul, is always going to be in question until they actually win the title. So you think to 2 years ago under Philippe Clement, they made a wonderful recovery from what he inherited from Michael Beale to put themselves in the driving seat, and they blew it. Away games to Ross County and Dundee. And his quote, you talk about, Dan's talking rightly there about Danny Rule reading the room. Philip Clement's quote, which for me I just kind of thought, nah, you're done. You're not for Rangers. When Rangers drew 3-3 with Celtic.
Yeah.
Yet another Old Firm game without beating Celtic.
Yeah.
They says, it's a moral victory for us today.
Yep.
No, it's not. You're on your own patch. You go and win that game today, you've really put the title, you've got one hand in the title. So Danny Rule doesn't make comments like that. He stays very, very calm, even after the disappointment of Wednesday night when they didn't go over the line and Motherwell down to 10 men. He's still calm, he's still considered, and he goes again. So yeah, it's always going to be questioned, and if Rangers don't win the league, it'll be questioned, because at some point you'll say Danny Rule picked the wrong starting 11, or he didn't make the right substitutions, or he bottled it. He bottled it at Celtic Park in the game after the split, whatever the circumstance may be. So you're always going to get that levelled at you until you get it over the line. But right now, they've put themselves in a brilliant position to get it over the line. They really have. Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, throw Motherwell into the equation. I'm saying I think 82 points might win you the title. If Motherwell win every one of their games, that takes them to 83. Okay, so
Wow.
they're still in the ballpark.
Yeah.
However, Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Derek McInnes, Danny Rule, Martin O'Neill, fair play to the three of them. They've been absolutely brilliant.
Who's going to win it? We'll talk about it again and maybe hear from you. You know the number, 0808 17 17 700. That's after the news.
Football Show with Burger King. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Big week here in Scotland and in Europe. Celtic playing Stuttgart on Thursday evening. Speak about that in a moment or two. The cup game tonight, Dundee United against the Spartans, and the winner will play Falkirk. So that's at 7:45. And there's a league game in the Championship, Morton against Dunfermline. Mark, that's not a bad game as well. So United obviously would go in as favourites big time against the Spartans, but they're more than decent.
Yeah, some good wins in the cup. Really good football club, mixed with Pat Linens. Man, there's a kind of director of football, great experience there. So you couldn't rule Spartans out. But I think with Dundee United getting that win, Paul, at the weekend, it was massive. I was really genuinely delighted for Jim Goodwin. I think he needed that. You could see a couple of his post-match interviews recently, and he looked absolutely exasperated. So I was really pleased for him, and hopefully they can kick on from that. So I would imagine home game, front of their own supporters, Dundee United will get the job done.
What wasn't so good at the weekend was St Mirren losing. From a West of Scotland point of view, Darren, and the team that won the League Cup, St Mirren, they've been top six, the story, 3 years running, but it's getting tough now for Stevie and his squad to get just away from the bottom. Close to the bottom.
I do feel for them a little bit, because winning a cup, and especially in their at a St Mirren, with no disrespect, where it's not happening regularly, to win a cup and to have these events, kind of they had people out at the town centre and all that, and it would have been euphoric. And then all of a sudden, 24 hours later, you're back to normal. It's very hard to come back down. I think that's probably something that doesn't get enough credit with the top teams in the world in any walk of life, to be able to hit these highs but actually come back down again quickly. And I just think they've suffered because of that. I do think they will have enough to get out of the kind of trouble they're in now. They've got a fantastic manager in Stephen Robinson. I think they'll be okay, but I think that the winning the League Cup has been the reason for the lack of form, I think.
Mark, it's your old club. You were there for some time. Any part of you worrying about it? They could end up second bottom and have to be in the playoffs.
They're dragged in, Paul. They're definitely in the mix, and they just need to really, but it's like all of them, you just need to go and dig deep. Every Saturday afternoon, just dig deep and battle your way for 90 minutes. It's not going to be silky. It's not going to be pleasant in the eye at times, but just go and dig out your points here, there, and do what you can. You look at Kilmarnock, you think they're in about it. It was also a bad one for them on Sunday. They must have thought they're going to get at least a point. But, you know, Kilmarnock not out. I think Livy will go. So you're looking at Kilmarnock, St Mirren and Dundee have been dragged back into it as well. I think Aberdeen and Dundee United will be absolutely fine, but Dundee, St Mirren and Kilmarnock, there's a real three-way battle there to avoid that playoff place. And like we talk about at the top of the table, Paul, when they all play each other after the split, you know, you normally 36, 37 points, you should be okay in terms of beating the playoffs, so still a bit of work to be done.
Title day could be right at the end. You know, when we find out who's it going to be, is it going to be Hearts? Is it going to be Rangers? Celtic? Could it be Motherwell? Look, even Hugh was saying it's an outside chance. But for Celtic, they weren't going to drift out of it, but it looked as though it was going to finish up 2-2. And then, 2 down at half-time. Martin O'Neill was asked afterwards, what did you say to the players?
Well, the message was pretty simple, really. We've got to get into the game properly. I know we created a few chances, I must admit. We missed a chance or two, but overall our play was very, very sloppy. And I didn't think we adapted to the conditions and the way that Kilmarnock were playing. Kilmarnock were very strong, and so we had to make some changes at half-time. We did do, and the boys who come on made a big, big impact.
They sure did. What about Tinecti and his effect?
I've thought it from because he's had a bit of criticism. True, he started really well, then he dipped, and now I think he's starting to come round. But because of my experience of watching Nicholas Coon, I thought Nicholas Coon for the first 6 months, this kid's not got it. He's just not got it. He looked petrified to take people on. He was just lacked conviction in everything he did. But the reality is, he's a young guy. He needed to settle. He had a couple of issues with, I think it was his teeth at the time or something like that. Yep. And a bit of coaching. Mm-hmm. And I think with Tinecti, whether you see him hit the heights of Nicholas Coon, I think you're now seeing a player that has been told by his coaches and by his manager, I want to see you more aggressive with the ball. I want you to take people on. I want you to shoot. He needs to learn to cross off his right foot because he wants to come into his right foot. He's off his left foot because he's so dominant on his right. He needs to practice going down onto his left and crossing. But I think Tinecti could have a big kind of say in this run-in. And I also think he's going to be a much better player next season as well.
What about at the back? Austin Trusty, he blows hot and cold, Darren. Sunday wasn't good for him. He just was, he was caught out a few times. What would you be saying to him if you were coaching him? Because he's got a bundle of talent.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a concentration thing with him, because you watch him perform at Champions League level, watch him at home at Leipzig, away to Atalanta, and absolute huge colossal performances. Even Bologna, I thought, when they went down to 10 men, he was. But that's because the game is absolutely demanding full concentration. I think he's a player that can just become a little bit lax. And when you become lax, especially in Scottish football, especially facing a team like Kilmarnock, who are fighting for their lives, you get hurt. And it's been a problem. If you actually look, I remember his first season, I'm sure there was a away game to Dundee, and it was the first time I saw real weakness in his game. And it was off the back of actually performing really well. But that's been synonymous with his whole career. He's capable of big performances, but is also capable of dropping off it quickly.
Because he could have cost Celtic the 3 points, Mark, because it was 2-2, 74th minute. He completely misjudges it. Kelly through John Jules, and then Callum McGregor, a brilliant tackle. He got to the ball, but he got booked for it. But that came from Austin Trusty just completely missed timing.
Yeah, he's sometimes he looks a nervous wreck.
Aye.
And other times you think, wow, this guy's top drawer. And I think that actually Dan's point, spot on, probably a level of concentration where he's at his best when he needs to be busy. He needs to be like on the back foot, sort of thing, defending, on the front foot defending, but you know what I mean. But it's a decision you've got to make. There's a lot of positives from Sunday for Celtic, obviously that character and going to win the game. But now you strip it back. I don't know so much about Thursday, but certainly get into Sunday at home to Hibs and then going to Ibrox and going to Pitodge, etc, etc, etc. What do you do, Martin O'Neill and his staff? Genuinely, there'll need to be, and I'm sure there has been, conversations. The goalkeeper, are we sticking by him? Are we going to give Sinisalo a run? Because clearly he's got all the experience in the world, but he's not producing at the moment. Kasper Schmeichel, he's the couple of games has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But there's been a few games where you're thinking, wow, if that was anybody else, they'd have been out the team. So what do? Your defensive partnership, your central defensive partnership, Trusty and Scales. I don't think he'll drop Scales, but sometimes Scales as well. I mean, I look at the second goal that Kilmarnock scored, and the ball's clear your lines properly. It's a schoolboy 10-yard clearance that gives the ball. Clear your lines. That's one thing Martin O'Neill won't be saying to him is play it out for the back and no, clear your lines, get your shape back, get a breath and go again. But that kind of clearance does my head in, clearances like that. And then you've got Hitati in the middle of the park. I don't think you can go with Hitati again. Now you might need to, but Hitati looks as though he has absolutely switched off. Switched off. And you can't carry that in the middle of the park. You can't leave all that work to Callum McGregor on his own, because you're almost carrying a passenger in the moment, Hitati. So a lot of positives, but goalkeeper, central defensive partnership, and Hitati, what do you do?
I think listen, the players he's mentioning, the thing that probably won't, or maybe fans don't see, which is totally understandable by the way, is the influence and the fallout of leaving someone like Kasper Schmeichel out. So clearly his form hasn't been at the level it was in his first season. I think he's made clearly some errors, and people are saying, well, Sinisalo surely deserves an opportunity. Kasper Schmeichel, I can guarantee you, is second captain to Callum McGregor in that dressing room. Well, I don't know that, but I mean, he's 39 years old. He's played Premier League. He's won the Premier League. He's an international footballer. He's a big personality.
A bit like the Joe Hart position a couple of years ago.
Exactly. So it's, if you take him out, what is he going to be like? How much do you take away from his leadership? Listen, that's what ultimately Martin O'Neill has to decide what he wants to do. But I think that will be a reason to keep him in the team, was they won't want to lose the kind of experience of him.
Plus, can I say, Sinisalo didn't do well in the Livy game a while ago. And I think a lot of
with
Celtic
goalkeepers,
fans,
I just think you need, if you're going to go with Sinisalo, go with him.
Right.
So give him a couple of, you can't just say, give you kind of a game and in and out. It's hard for him. So I don't think he's ever really got a run of games, which is fine. But I think with Kasper, that's the biggest one, is I think he'd be a huge character behind the scenes.
And what about Rio Hitati? Listen, you've worked with him. Celtic fans absolutely loved what he did. It's part of what went wrong. He should have been sold if there was an offer, maybe a year ago, whatever. But he is there. Surely they can get a tune out of him now in the last 12 games.
They did the first time around, Martin. He got a tune. I don't think I've ever questioned, because I think it's it's probably the worst thing you can say about a player. I've never really questioned the player's attitude, but I question his attitude. He's not underperforming because it's just not happening for him. He's not running. He's not running the same. He's not working the same. He's not got the same kind of desire to get about the pitch. He looks moody at times. And probably the biggest frustration is that all of us know he's an absolute super talent, arguably Celtic's best midfield player when he's on it. So when the drop off, it's so big, it's more than just simply he's in bad form. He's, in Mark's words, this is switched off or checked out. I totally agree. So
what motivates him? If you were the boss, you'd say, give me solutions, not problems. We know you've got the talent, son. Here you are. Here's something. Dangle something. Because they've got it wrong in so many areas. But he's such a talented player. 12 games to go, Mark. Look, there's the European games as well. There's the Cup games.
I get it, Paul, but I think, there's only so many times you can put your arm around the player and basically beg him, come on. What is it wrong? You tell me. What can we do to help? And how many times you do it before you say, and how many times you do that when then you look at a Luke McCow and they're about. I mean, what has happened to Bernardo?
Exactly.
3 different
That was
managers
my
this
next
season.
question.
So,
Yeah.
how long do you give before you actually say, oh, I'm going to lose these guys as well? Because they say, oh, do you know what? How bad am I if I can't get in?
Yeah.
I've got Callum McGregor. Where does he go and say, I can't do this on my own?
Yeah. Plus, he's been booked again. You know, at one point.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is why Martin O'Neill, 99 times out of 100, Martin will get it. I'm just thinking now. Yes, of course, a lot of positives from Sunday, but now moving on, think okay. But why are we 2 goals down? Why are we having to leave it to the last minute? What can we correct? What can we fix? What can we adjust? And that's why I think, and I get the point about Kasper Schmeichel. I totally get it. His experience, but you're always kind of thinking, no, he'll be fine. He'll pull off that big save. But when you're just looking at Sunday and a couple of other games, I think, ooh, okay. I'm just thinking. I'm not saying drop him. What I'm saying is, have a conversation. I'm sure you speak to Stevie Woods, but we speak to Kasper. Should we take you out? How's Sinisalo looking in training? Is he looking the part mentally? Is he ready to go and be your number one for the next 10? Because you can't take him out and put him back. So if you're going to go with him, you're going to go with him. Starting on Thursday night against Stuttgart, why not? If you think that, but maybe not. I don't know.
Here's Paul on the line, a Celtic fan. Hi, Paul. Good evening.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Mark. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Paul.
Good evening. What are you thinking, Paul?
Just when you were talking there about Sunday's game, my first kind of point, between Austin Trusty, Liam Scales, who I was really surprised that he's usually a solid one, and Kasper Schmeichel, they sold 3 goals.
Yeah.
2 goals. Big Trusty has got that bit in him. I think Dan was talking about it earlier, and I remember, I think he was playing against, was it Dundee or Kilmarnock or something, and he was virtually greeting about the guy standing on his toes. That's when the kind of stuff started. Sometimes he seems like a colossal, and other times he seems like a big pansy. Yeah. And I think even Brendan Rodgers had a go at him about doing the kind of dirty stuff as well. Like Kasper Schmeichel, he might be another captain, but he's lost us so many goals. I mean, continually going, I don't know, Mark, I'm not a goalie, but continually going with the wrong hand. Like, I mean, I'm sure he's doing that because of an injury or something, but he's a good goalie, but it has to be a certain type of shot or a certain type of save.
And that's what it looked like, Paul, didn't it, Mark? Looking at you, it looked as though, I'm no doctor, but remember he got that injury last year with Denmark, and he didn't go, he led with his right hand rather than the left.
Yeah, I mean, when you watched it, it was hard to kind of see it properly live, you just watched it in the telly, but certainly when you get the replay, people say, oh, his feet were, I think his feet were okay, they were fine, because you are expecting him to go with his left hand. His left hand was closer to the ball, and he would have got a better purchase on that, trying to scoop that out, whereas he's come across, so right away he's not getting that, and he's so all day long. I don't know if it's down to a shoulder, down to whatever, I don't know. What I do know, one-on-ones, as you might say, Paul, there's certain kind of saves he's brilliant at. Even going back to Martin O'Neill's League Cup semi-final at Hampden, he was brilliant that day, couple of really big saves, great at one-on-ones. European games, Feyenoord away, Bologna, brilliant at one-on-ones, but there's just certain ones where he's just you're just looking saying that's not even the Kasper Schmeichel last season. And I know he's 39, nothing wrong with that if you're still doing. I don't have a problem with age, but at the moment all I'm saying is I would be thinking to myself, I just want to have a conversation with people. Where are we with the goalkeeping situation? That's
they'll be having that, you would imagine. Sure. What else are you thinking, Paul?
So the is it Aurelio?
Rojo. Yeah.
Rojo. They scored the 3rd goal. Now, I can remember his first game for Celtic. It was against Rangers and we get bet. But I thought, this guy has got genuine pace. And I think in the kind of modern game, if you get genuine pace, you'll stick out a mile. So my worry would be that I would love him to stay, because I do think his pace, he can make up a lot of stuff, even if he makes mistakes. I can't see this board paying the money for him, because I think it'd be out with their wage, out with what they would be willing to spend. I think that's the kind of basic player that you need to be spending money on. If you look at Juranovic, I was never a fan of Juranovic.
No.
Very fast, hopeless defender. Positional sense was horrendous, but he was really quick attacking wise. And I think I think the current guy's a bit better defender, but I can't see. I mean, it must be it'll be an unfortunate.
Probably. Darren, what do you reckon? Yeah. Oh, it'll be huge money at Bournemouth, I know.
Yeah.
Is it, what kind of money?
I don't want to disappoint you, but I think from watching him, I'm totally on board with him. I think, and I totally agree with Paul there. He's been a breath of fresh air. He's kind of from a right back position nearly lifted the team, and with his energy and his quality. I just look at Celtic as a club and the way they do business. Alistair Johnston is an asset to the club, if you want to call it that. He's on a long-term contract. He was someone that they would never have been looking to upgrade. It would have been very hard to upgrade him because his performance level has been so high. So I think once the summer comes round, if Alistair Johnston's fit, I don't know if it'll come down to the finance as much as do Celtic have the appetite to want to go and spend X amount of money, a lot of money to get a player that really does it improve us. Is he much better than Alistair Johnston? That would be, I think, the question mark I'd have over it. But no doubt he's a top player. Yeah,
that's a great point, Mark.
Yeah, Rojo, I mean, you can see he's been a Wilfred Nancy signing. You can imagine him at wing back, getting up and down there all day long. But yeah, I like the way he's aggressive. And listen, Kieran Tierney's the number one left back. I'm not having a go at Kieran, but Sriracha, if Kieran Tierney can't, Sriracha on the left hand side, the aggression that he's got. I'd be surprised if Rojo is a Celtic player next season. As Dan says, we had this debate many times last season, Paul, when it was clear that Kieran Tierney was coming in, the pre-contract was announced. You think, okay, none of my business what he earns, what his package is, but you know it's going to be a lucrative package. Then you talk about Greg Taylor, so were you going to give someone like Greg Taylor £1.5 million a year to be basically your backup left back? It's a lot of money to spend on a backup left, although I think they should have found a deal. They really should have found a solution. Anyway, same would now apply to Alistair Johnston, and unless they were going to sell Alistair Johnston, try and keep Aroko, whatever they thought, but I can't imagine Alistair Johnston and Aroko being at the club next season. It'd be one or other, and I think it'll be Alistair Johnston. I think he's the next captain after Callum McGregor. I think he's the kind of guy that you could say, come and stay here for the next 4 or 5 years. I don't think he's a kite that would be itching to get away. I think you could make him captain. But certainly, all I'd say is, Paul, Aroko, the next whatever it is, Celtic, whatever they've got to play, 12, 14, 15 games, just enjoy him. He's been really, really good. And the fact that nobody's talking about Alistair Johnston now backs that up.
Paul, you're always really considered. You love your Celtic, but I think you're really fair. What are you thinking now in the title? Hearts still first, Rangers just in behind, Celtic third, game in hand. What's your instinct, your gut instinct?
I think if we sort the defence out, or the defence becomes a bit more solid, I think attacking wise, I think that the January we have improved to the January transfer window. I still fancy us to win the league, but it would be the most mental win of the league that I can remember. I think getting over the line, I don't know, I'm not complaining, but even at 2-0 down at half time, I never thought we were really out it. And it's Martin O'Neill, to be honest. I liked the way that you saw him at the sideline. He was telling someone that we hurry up and get on with it, and then he made the changes at half time. I still fancy us for the league by the skin of our teeth, but we need to beat Rangers. That's the one. We need to beat Rangers in the league. I still fancy us. We're still the benchmark of Scottish football.
And do you feel that Hearts are a bigger threat or Rangers?
No, I feel Rangers are the bigger threat.
It's going to be Rangers.
I think that would have took the wind. I think that would have took the wind out of themselves a fair bit. And even Derek McInnes looked absolutely gutted.
He did, didn't he? We heard from him. Yeah,
it's been some. It's been some season. It's been
sure has
some entertainment. It's been no good for the old high blood pressure, but we just need to go with it.
Thanks so much, Paul. Good call. 0808 17 17 700. Back next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Mark, next few days for you, it's all about football up here. You and me will be around Glasgow. Down in London, the bright lights will be Darren O'Dea. Can I just say you're going down to Brentford?
Yeah. I've shared a really good relationship with Keith Andrews through our national team days. So got invited down. I'll go down tomorrow, spend a couple of days watching their training and see the inner workings of what's been a fantastic season, or multiple seasons for Brentford as a club. Sort of club I'd love to see, and then I'll watch them play Brighton on Saturday and come back up. So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to educate myself and seeing something different.
And for somebody like Keith who came in, I mean, everyone was saying Thomas Frank, a hard act to follow, but my goodness, he's even improved on the success that there has been there.
Yeah, which, listen, obviously I'm a big fan of Keith because he's a friend of mine, and it's great to see him do so well. But I think it's testament to Brentford, the infrastructure they have, that they could remove someone of Thomas Frank's ilk and actually keep the ball rolling, as you said, improve on it. So, but yeah, no, Keith's done incredibly. I think if you stop the season right now in the Premier League, he'd be up there for manager of the year. So
that's the kind of structure that all clubs need to go for, Paul. You know, your Brentfords, your Brightons. You know, you look at it. You pick a squad to suit the system of the football club, not to suit the system of a manager if you're changing managers every season. So you bring in a manager that suits the squad. Okay, you'll think and they'll bring in 2 or 3 his own or whatever, the recruitment department. But that's the way to go. That's again when you look back, Celtic going to a manager who was rigid in 3-5-2. Man United had it with Amorim. You know, so football clubs now build their structure, implement their style of playing, build squads with the recruitment department to go with that, and then appoint managers / head coaches to go along that. So that's why it's been great. It's been seamless for Keith Andrews because he's been part of the setup, and he's got in. You look at Brighton, good success stories there as managers, and that's what Celtic, because otherwise you run out of money. You can't keep spending to wrap up a squad every season. So it's the way to go.
It is amazing the way it's changed in England, though, isn't it? Brentford, we knew little about them 10 years ago, but the money in the English game has transformed it to the new stadium. I heard, who was it? Gabby Gummelhor. He was saying, "Oh, you could fold up the stadium and put it away at the weekend." Did you hear him saying that? He was having a bit of a go. But it's amazing. They've come from kind of nowhere. I know a proud history, but we didn't know about them. But the size of that club now, albeit it's quite a small stadium, but it's amazing. What do you do, though, at a Rangers or a Celtic if a really big name manager comes in who says, "I don't want all this structure, you know, I'm Jose Mourinho, I'm just whose birthday it is today."
He ain't getting the job, you don't appoint him.
Aye. So, but do you know what I mean? It's a bit different, though. Would you have got...
No, but Paul, that's where you need to, like we're talking about Celtic, almost kind of starting from scratch in the summer. You know, if it's a director of football, sporting director, recruitment, head coach, you know, what's going to happen. So you need to go and build that.
So I think you're suggesting you would have to bring in a director of football if you're Celtic first before a manager.
Yeah, because the director of football's got to have at least a working relationship and have similar ideas. There's no point appointing a manager then bringing in a director of football. The director of football, if you want to have that kind of role, has got to basically tell the board what's happening, because if you appoint the guy but you don't let him do what he wants to do, then why you put him in the job in the first place? Just let the board run it then. So put a qualified football person in there and by the way, it doesn't need to be all encompassing, you know, in charge of sports science, you know, just put him in there in terms of, I'm in charge of scouting and recruitment, I've got whatever it is, scouting squad, there's the head coach, bump, and let's go and crack on and see what we can do. So yeah, and I don't know if you agree, Dan, I've said it a few weeks now, I don't know if Martin O'Neill will stay on. I think if Celtic won the title, it would be natural to offer him the job. Whether he would want to go another year, I've really no idea, but I would certainly keep him at the club at some capacity. I would see if he wanted to become the chairman, but he might want to stay on. But I can see Sean Maloney, I don't know if you agree, but I can see Sean, who like last month during the transfer when it was basically the director of football, that kind of role. We're going to deal with things, and so I can see Sean, an internal appointment. He's got the trust of the board. Yeah. He's got the trust of Dermot Desmond, and Sean taking on that role and then seeing what happens from there. However, if they offer Martin the job and they win the league, decides to stay on, then I don't know how the structure would work then.
Yeah, that's the question. Well, when I was working in the role, and Sean obviously replaced me when I left, you were very much kind of like an assistant head of football operations, if you want to call it that. You work very closely with Paul Tisdale. So yeah, the natural progression for Sean would be into that role. But as you said, then there's so many other things going on, whether they stay into the job they're doing. I don't think, my gut feeling would say, if it's not Martin, Sean won't be part of the next first team staff, if that makes sense. I don't think he would see himself as maybe being the number 2, kind of maybe what John Kennedy did. So yeah, I if I was, it all depends really on what they do towards the end of the season. Do they win the league? But I could see Sean Maloney being in that position come the end of the season.
John Kennedy's rarely mentioned. He was there for so long, and I know he was a huge part of it. Somebody said to me, he's almost like the chief of staff.
Yeah.
You know, if you watch The West Wing or whatever, I know that was a few years ago, he was the chief of staff of the football operation. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
He was involved in everything.
Yeah. If you're good at what you do, and then you're also good at creating relationships, he's worked with a lot of the first team staff. And what people don't realise, there's obviously the match day staff that you see, and people go, geez, there's loads of them. Actually, behind the scenes, there's even more. So right across Lennoxtown, he's built really, really strong relationships, as anyone would do. And obviously, naturally, he's been very good at his job. So, John Kennedy leaving the club, and you do need to be careful saying this because hopefully it comes across the right way, but there will have been more of an impact of John leaving than Brendan leaving. Really? Yeah. And that's not a slant on Brendan, any manager. It was just because John knew the workings of the club. He was the continuity. He was the way that, even though the structure of Brentford wasn't there, he was the person that kept the continuity going when Mark touched on it, or when Neil comes in when Brendan left the first time. It's John that keeps the kind of ship just sailing it, if you like. So yeah, it was a big, and that person has to be replaced. I think Sean Maloney is a natural person to think he could replace it, but I agree with Mark. I think he's more likely to come off pitch and be the guy replacing that person.
Mark, it's going to be an absolutely huge summer for Celtic. A lot to see what happens between now and then. And for Rangers as well, with Danny Rule, 49ers in there putting a lot of money in as well. And the people around him.
I mean, Rangers, Paul, have still to make a permanent appointment to replace Kevin Thel. And now Stig Ginga-Bornaby has gone in, interim role, whatever his title. I'm sure that he would probably fancy a crack at it. Lee McCulloch has been tipped for that kind of role, or maybe like more of head of recruitment. He's doing an excellent job at Brighton at the moment, and would also have the benefits of the experience of working in the inner sanctum in there. So Rangers have got big decisions to make as well, but they certainly at the moment they look as if they've called it right. I think they had a really good window, but ultimately the window they've just had needs to lead to them winning the title, otherwise it'll be regarded as a failure. So that right now they've put themselves in a strong position. So Rangers need to go and put some other things in place too.
Would a cup be enough? I think I know the answer. I mean, Rangers fans would love to be winning on, was it May the 23rd?
May 23rd.
Get that in the diary.
Yeah. Hampden. Paul, depends, Look, I think if Danny Rule takes it to the wire and you win the cup, and you look at what he inherited, you'd have to say that would be an excellent job over a period of 8 months. However, when you get this close and the title is in their own hands, I know Hearts are talking to you, but the title is still in Rangers' hands. If they win all their games, they'll be champions. Then it would be classed as a major disappointment if you don't deliver it. Yeah. But that would probably be harsh given. So Paul, look,
sure.
Sort of
all three of them, if they all, they can all, Celtic can also, if they win all their games, win the league. Yeah. Hearts, because they're going to play each other.
It's all in their own hands.
Let's hear from the managers. Here's Danny Rule. So nobody talks about the title until maybe this time of year. So he was asked after the 4-2 win over the Hearts, what about this race?
Look, on Wednesday we spoke about our momentum is done. It's over. Now 2 days later we speak about again the momentum. It's all about the next consistency, again and again and again. It's nice now that we have a title race with 3 teams, and we are in the middle of this race, and this feels good. But how many games we have? 11 to go. Yeah, will be funny for you guys. You can enjoy, but we are ready.
I like the way he handles that, Mark. He's quite good. Martin O'Neill's got a lot of humour, a lot of experience. Let's hear a bit more from him about the confidence in his team.
Speak also about the group. I think when you conceded an early goal, comes a little bit from nothing. Yeah, we invite them, we make a mistake, and then the reaction was straight. Okay, we want to come back. We stick what we want to do. Then again, yeah, the second conceded goal was a typical Hearts game, Hearts goal, long ball, second ball, in behind, cross ball. In this moment, we didn't defend well, but again the reaction was great. Yeah, and then the second half, I think we did a fantastic goal, also different goals. We showed a good character, and I liked to see this. And I saw also not just character, also on the tactical side, on the football side, was one of the best games since I'm here.
Mark Guidi?
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's talked about Hart's second goal. I've mentioned Chamiti's header, his second goal, but Braga's header I thought it was world class. Yep. I mean, genuinely a world class header. John Soot will be very disappointed. He should have defended better, that situation better. But take nothing away from Claudio Braga, from where he is to get his neck, to get his jump, and then to put it away from and leaving Butland with absolutely no chance. It was a world class finish. However, Rangers recovered and they got the victory. They did show, a really good mentality, a really good desire and will to win, backed by their own supporters inside a really noisy Ibrox. So, Paul, it leaves the table, like we're saying, Hearts and Celtic can get to 90 points maximum. Rangers can get to 88 points maximum. So it leaves it, if one of them wins all the games, they're champions. So again, with 10, 11, 12 games to go, the three of them have it in their own hands.
All right, so Rangers could only get to 88 points.
But if they win all their games, they're champions.
Yeah, of course, because they then take away from the other ones.
And they've beaten Celtic twice. So it's. I don't think we've had it, Paul. This situation, have we? With three. The last time with the last day finish, 2008.
Yeah.
That was the last time when you were at Tannadice, right. Rangers were at Pittodrie. That was the last time it properly went to the wire.
Rangers went all the way to the UEFA Cup final as well. Could Celtic go all the way? Listen, under Martin O'Neill, and Celtic fans are saying, hey, they're not playing well at all. They can't continue to play the way they played in the first half at Kilmarnock and expect to win, but anything could happen. You mentioned the Rangers fans. Barry was saying here last night in that chair about that's the best atmosphere since the Fenerbahce game. Here's Danny Rule.
Yeah, I think it was the first time since I'm here that Ibrox was like Ibrox. Yeah, you felt it, what it means. I'm very positive. I think we want to have this atmosphere in the stadium. The only thing is, and this is, I can understand this sometimes, but sometimes it's difficult when you have to prepare the next action and you need the extra pass and you need an extra pass to prepare something. Yeah, then it's sometimes difficult for my players, I would say, because we have to make decisions, and especially when you play against a deep block and they wait for transition moments, and sometimes you need the extra pass. But let's speak not about this. Let's speak about how the atmosphere was after the game. Outstanding. I think they push us today in every situation. Then they deserved these 3 points. And it was great. It was really great. I enjoyed this. My players could enjoy this after the game, and maybe we can have more such afternoons together. I spoke about we, and it means we do this again.
Yeah, he's pulling that club together. What about Fernandes? Rangers fans enjoy him at times. He drives them nuts at other times, not least when he was slack with the pass that led to a Hearts goal. I see they're saying that Arsenal and Chelsea are keeping their eyes on him. So
no, they're not.
No. Is that agent talk?
Oh, yeah. I think, listen, you're right. He's a good player. He's got good physical attributes. I think nowadays centre-backs, speed is a massive thing. He's obviously very, very good, particularly from attacking set plays. So there's a good player there, but I think it's premature to be talking about moves to teams like that.
Looks as though he's going to play for Nigeria rather than England, Mark. That's one of the stories today as well, as Darren slaps down that one about Arsenal. Chelsea.
Yeah, the World Cup. I mean, you can't imagine him getting a game for England. So yeah, you can understand why he's chosen Nigeria. And yeah, good luck if that means you're getting into the World Cup. That's something really fantastic to look forward to.
What are you thinking about Hearts? This is the manager, Derek McInnes, at the end. He said, look, we fought really hard.
I've told the lads not to be too down. We should be disappointed. The fact that we're so disappointed coming to Ibrox. but we fought hard, we worked hard, and we put a lot into the game. But we still feel there's 11 games to go. We've got some good fixtures coming up, and it's important we just dust ourselves down and get ready for them.
Go Radio Football Show. We're back in a moment.
The Go Radio Football Show with Burger King.
Yep, tomorrow night Andy Walker and Jamie Murphy will be here. I see Ayr United, the game St Johnstone is on tonight in the trophy that's been, well, it's been postponed so many times, Mark, but they've moved it, haven't they? The game tonight.
Yeah, just to get it on. It obviously fell victim of the weather at McDermott Park, at least 2 occasions, if not 3. So yeah, just get the game on and get cracking.
Leslie Ann's on, Morton against Dunfermline. Who do you fancy there, Darren, tonight? What do you think?
I think Dunfermline have been. I think Neil Lennon's done a decent job there, and they're kind of bubbling, and they've had a couple of big wins, especially in the cup. So I'd like to see Dunfermline win there.
Mark, who do you reckon? Who do you fancy on that one?
Yeah, I think Dunfermline will nick it. Ian Murray's going to Morton, get them going. Neil's picking up a couple of good results at Dunfermline, including in the cup. So I think Dunfermline 2-1.
Just before the break, we heard from Derek McInnes. What was his overall impression of the game?
So much on the title fight and in other areas of the league as well. There's sort of a lot on it. So, I think for us, there's no shame in us losing today. We're up against a team who have spent 40-50 million. You'd expect them to be top of the league and expect them to be able to beat Hearts, but they had to work hard for it today.
What do you make of it in the psyche? He has handled it brilliantly all season. And look, he's been over the course before. He hasn't won the title with Aberdeen, but he chased Celtic a couple of times during that period. His experience could be massive. I mean, it could be a deciding factor for Hearts. They're not in any other cups. It's all about the league.
Yeah, and every kind of bit of press he does now, it's going to be absolutely dissected, and every word he uses, and ultimately it's probably just I think he's sending a message maybe to his players and his support that they've lost a game. It's against Rangers. I don't want to say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but they're still top of the league. And there's probably going to be more of this. I don't think any of these teams are going to win the league by winning all remaining games. So I think he's done a really, really good job of just kind of keeping things at an even keel. And that is really a big part of winning anything, but winning leagues. It's a marathon, so you need to stay calm in the good times and calm in the bad times. And I think he's got the balance of that right so far. Mark?
Yeah, they've been great. Hearts really have. Paul, you consider, Derek inherited a squad that was almost relegated, flirting with it. One of the big things was he persuaded Lorne Shankland to stay. The other good thing that Hearts called right, and whether this is all down to Tony Bloom or not, I don't know. I don't know the full mechanics of the workings day to day, but they brought in Graham Jones as their sporting director, technical director, who's got a real solid body of work at the SFA. And when they interviewed 3 or 4 candidates in the summer, they all knew the Scottish game, so they didn't attempt to complicate it or be too fancy in any shape or form. Said, let's just get back to the bread and butter and go and make this work, along with our the analytics and the recruitment stuff. So Derek's been great, but I just think I've championed Hearts this season. They've been brilliant. I just think, look at them now, last couple of times, I think that the loss of Lorne Shankland, not just but his goal scoring ability, the way he knits things together on the park as well, brings others into play in the final third. I think it's just going to be too much for them to handle.
And who do you think is going to win? This is a season where, I mean, you're allowed to change. You can change anyway. We're in a democracy still, only just. What do you think, Mark? What's your feeling tonight on the 17th of February? What's your instinct?
My instinct saying, looking at everything, Paul, the fixtures, all that, yeah. I'm edging towards Rangers ever so slightly. I think Celtic's schedule could really, really undo them. But if it's still within a couple of points, the 3 of them going into the split, bearing in mind Celtic will have Hearts and Rangers at Celtic Park, I would fancy Celtic. So I think that Hearts or Rangers would need a minimum 4-point gap getting into the split over Celtic to become champions. If Celtic are still thereabouts or a point or two ahead, I think Celtic will do it.
Come to you in a moment, Darren, on that. Here's Martin O'Neill after the win at the weekend, saying, look, a long way to go.
It's a game that we've won now when we were, well and truly out of it at one stage. Well, I say well and truly out of it. You feel with this group of players that they're never really out of it. But, to fight back in the manner in which we did, to get all 3 points, and in the manner in which we did very, very late on, was very pleasing. Who knows at the end of it all? I don't know. There's a long way to go yet.
Darren, 17th February. What's your feeling? I know you've said on the show, this was weeks ago, you think that Celtic will do it. What do you feel now?
I still feel the same. A couple of weeks ago, I thought Celtic would have to improve performances, and I thought the signings that they would make would hopefully do that. Of the kind of evidence of Sunday against Kilmarnock, the performance level hasn't been risen, but they seem to keep picking up these wins. Now, I don't think that can continue. Looking into the split then is the big one. They're going to have both those games at home. I think that's going to be key. They obviously have to go to Ibrox though. Out with, I'm talking about the Scottish Cup. Yeah. They have to go to Ibrox in the league. That'll be a huge game as well. And then similar to what Mark's saying, when it comes down to the split, there's no doubt the ones that will handle that the best in terms of mentally and emotionally will be Celtic. It just naturally, because they have a number of players who've been there, it'll cause a lot more anxiety to the other two teams. So I think if Celtic are in touching distance of those two teams, playing them both at home with the experience they have, I expect them to win the league.
Toby's on, a big Kilmarnock fan, saying full credit to his team, Mark, how well they played, and he was bitterly disappointed. A young Kelly fan, he was there, and he thought they were going to get at least a draw.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been any full diagnosis on John Jules.
I haven't heard yet.
Because, seeing him limping off, a big blow to the game that day, but obviously to the fight for survival. So hopefully it's not too serious. He's been a revelation, he's been really, really good, just leading that line so well, full of confidence. Even if you can blame Austin Trusty all you want for the first goal, and I get that, but for him just to keep going, and then just that wee flick to the side and the way he's curled it past Schmeichel. So he's been great. There's been an improvement under Neil McCann. There's no doubt about that. Neil and Billy, I've got them going. There's still a bit of work to do, but I'm not saying they're a one-man team, but you look at the distance when they brought on, I think they brought on Dackers for him, and it's night and day. Hugo got in, Nick Nagol too. So look, they're still there. Young David Watson in the middle pack can help drive them on. The experience of D's at the back, and I think Bruce is a decent goalkeeper too. Yeah,
he's made a difference.
He's a decent goalkeeper, absolutely. So look, they've got themselves back in the mix, Paul. That's all they can do, and they'll just be really, really disappointed they didn't manage to hold on and take a point. And by the way, just on Neil McCann and the 7 minutes thing, 7 minutes didn't surprise me. I think 7 minutes was justified. It's up to his team to see it out. And on the other hand, go and try and score a winner. It wasn't like they were down to 10 men with 7 minutes to go. They were out against a ropey Celtic defence, so there was an opportunity for them.
It was 7 minutes
to go and win again. I get it, he's disappointed.
Sure.
It's heat of the moment stuff, 50 minutes after the full-time whistle. However, let's make no mistake, the 7 minutes was justified.
Toby's Kilmarnock, they're going to be okay though, do you think, Darren, to stay in the league?
After watching their last few games, I hate to say, but the injury to John Jules could be the difference. Because you have seen a resurgence since Neil McCann's gone in. They'd won the two previous games at home. They were creating more. He looks a really good player, and someone that you sometimes need that player to kind of lean on. I just really worry if he has any sort of injury is going to keep him out for the majority of the season. Fingers crossed that for Kilmarnock that's not the case. I think if he's fit, they've got a real chance. But if he's not, I really do worry for them.
We've got no injury time, Mark. We're in the last 60 seconds. Dan, what do you think for Celtic Stuttgart then? Is it going to refresh it a bit? Are we going to see a Bernardo or Negron's out for 9 games?
I think in everything Celtic, whatever that is, Martin O'Neill will go with whatever is in his head to be the strongest team for that game.
Yeah, you can't think about the following one, or can you, this season, Mark? What do you reckon?
Strong team in the Bundesliga, Paul. I think fourth or fifth.
Fourth, that's right.
Fourth. They're strong. I have to be honest. A draw A draw at best. Just try and keep it alive. But it'll be interesting to see the starting 11 that Martin Pink's considering the domestic schedule that's coming up the next 4 weeks.
Darren, are you nodding there at the draw, or what do you feel?
I think I agree. If you keep it alive for the second leg, but I don't think Martin O'Neill will look too far ahead. I think it'll be game by game, strongest team out on the pitch. And he's coming from an older school background of get on with it.
Of course. And Istanbul is where the final is. That's it. Andy Walker will be here tomorrow night along with Jamie Murphy. Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much, Darren.
Thank you.
See you soon. News is next.